Hello, and on this episode of the Inventive Marketing Club, we're going to get to grips with Google Ads. Now, this is a rerun of a session with Google Ads expert Libby Windle from Creative Ads, and she's going to take us through how to set up a Google Ads campaign, plus some of her top tips to help make it work effectively. Enjoy.
Thank you for coming on, Libby. Libby is a Google Ads expert, which actually we've been working with to help promote our club. Her company is a collective, isn't it, called Creative Ads? Is that right? There's a group of you working together?
That's exactly right, yeah.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that when we hand over to you. But yeah, basically I met Libby through working with Cool Ventures, which is delivering government-funded training and support for people in the sort of South Gloucestershire, Bristol and Bath area. I think that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was nice. We all met at a Christmas do they had. And that's really good, actually, to meet people. It's nice to get out and do some networking, frankly, and actually meet some people in person.
Yeah, it was one of the first in-person events I'd been to in 2 years, I think. So it was lovely.
Really?
Yeah.
No, it was so nice to get out, actually. So what Libby is going to be talking to us about is how to get to grips with Google Ads, including setting up a campaign. You're going to kind of whiz us through that, and tips to maximize your budget and optimize everything. And in fact, you were just telling us before we started recording that this comes from one of your Cool Ventures 3-hour presentations, which you've like compressed down to some of the core points.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when I train on behalf of Cool Ventures, it's a 3-hour session. And by the end of it, everyone attending should hopefully be able to set up, launch and optimize their own Google Ads campaigns. So I've just taken out the key elements and put them into a deck today, but hopefully it'll be equally as helpful.
No, it looks good. I've already had a skim through it. And it's about time, really, because the last time I looked at Google Ads as part of the club, we did a walkthrough of it back in November 2020. Yeah, November 2020. Oh, so wow. It's about time we revise that, because I know that the way that ads have changed since then, the way they're set up. So it's quite different.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we hand over to you? Because I know you've got a full packed slide. So if you start sharing your slides, we will sit back and listen.
Amazing. Okay. Can everybody see that okay?
Yeah, all good.
Brilliant. So my agency is called Creative Ads. There you go. There's our logo. I've been working in digital marketing forever. Since 2005, I started at Microsoft in London. I was in their Bing ads team when that originally launched to compete with Google Ads. So I got some amazing training there. And I worked there for 6 years. I started off really junior. By the time I left, I was managing a team of people and some amazing international big budget clients.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was brilliant experience. But I left in 2012 to move out of London and move to Bath, which is where I am now, and set up on my own alongside my desk buddy at Microsoft, Kate. So her and I are the co-owners of Creative Ads. She's still based in London, and I'm here managing most of our client base are Southwest based. We're really niche, so we just specialize in buying traffic to websites. Essentially, we actually work on every platform where you can do that. So we work Google Ads, Bing Ads, Facebook Ads, Instagram Ads, or Meta Ads as it's now known, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, all of them.
Wow, so you really cover all of the range.
We cover the whole range. And actually they all work in really similar ways, so it's quite easy for us to sort of move from one platform to another. And then we also have a team that we work with in different spaces, but still within the digital marketing landscape. So we work with an SEO guy, we work with a content person, a social media manager. So we can provide kind of the whole range of digital marketing for small businesses. Today in my slide, which I'll try and whiz through, I'm going to do an intro. I've just done that. Then we'll talk about Google Ads a little bit. Then we'll talk about how to set yourself up in Google Ads. And then once you've done that and you've launched your campaigns, what do you do next? And how do you analyze whether they're working or not? So an introduction to Google Ads. So you don't know, Google Ads is an online advertising platform. Let me just move this so I can read it. Developed by Google. I think it was launched in 2001, I think.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's quite old, isn't it, actually?
Yeah, it is relatively. And advertisers can use Google Ads to display brief adverts, service offerings, product listings, or videos to web users. And it can place ads both in the results of search engines like Google Search, which is how it started, and on non-search websites, mobile apps and videos. So I think it can reach 92% of the internet. So it's pretty all-encompassing, but don't let that intimidate you. It just means that your niche audience is on Google, so we can reach them. It can be used to promote your business, help sell your products or services, raise awareness, and increase traffic to your website. These are just stats that I've pulled out from various blogs and intel, but I also find this replicated in my own client work. So more than 80% of global businesses trust Google Ads for paid campaigns. And I think that's really important to say, because I think it can often be seen as being very expensive, not bringing a decent return on investment, being very difficult to get it to work. And while there is truth in that, if you do it properly and run it, execute it well, there is still definitely value to be had from it. My clients are testament to that.
Yeah, I'll testify to that as well. I know we had a client who we'd set up a campaign for, and it's okay, but it's quite broad. Then we got Libby in, and she said, right, okay, let's do this, and this. And it worked really well. Just lots of little tiny tweaks. That's what they were, little tweaks. And it made a huge difference in terms of now actually them getting really good, tangible conversions and leads through from it. So thanks for that.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's so good to hear. People are 4 times more likely, so this is a user, is 4 times more likely to click on an ad on Google than any other advertisement network. So it still remains the most effective network. And users who visit a website through Google Ads are 50% more likely to convert. So users often see a Google ad, and because of the way it's displayed and how professional and business-like it looks, people are much more likely to make a conversion if they've seen that and clicked on it than if, for example, they're clicking on an SEO listing, because it makes your business look modern, savvy, technologically minded, trustworthy. So already, just before people have clicked on the ad, it's giving your business a good reputation. And the average Google ad return on ad spend, so that's for every £1 you put into Google Ads, the average you'll get back is £8, which is pretty good. I know obviously then you've got to take out overheads and costs, but for most of my clients, it's worth it. And for some of them, they're getting a much higher return on ad spend than that. That's the average. So that's just a little overview. And then I'm going to go into the different types of advertising that you can do within Google Ads. There are 3 main ways to advertise: search ads, shopping ads, and display ads. And these are where you should start. If you're brand new to this, or you've had a go and it hasn't worked, start again with one of these 3. There's also these additional ones, so another 5 types that Google will mention to you throughout the setup. These are slightly more complex and they're not as results driven. So to start with, ignore these. But once you've got confident with one of those main 3, you may want to come back. So video ads is advertising on YouTube, which Google own. App campaigns is advertising your mobile app rather than your website. Smart campaigns is the utilization of a lot of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Local advertising is if you're a local business selling to local people, it gives you more capability to do that. And discovery is very similar to display, but it targets people who are more likely to engage with new brands. They're looking to discover newness. But don't worry about those for now. And instead, we'll focus on the main three. So search ad, this is where Google started. You go to Google and you type in a search query. So there I put in build a website UK. And the ones that have got the little ad text, I've just red blocked that, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Those are coming from a Google Ads account. So that's Squarespace have got one, the best 10 website builders have got one, Wix have got one, and Web Factory have got one. And these that we're seeing are called text ads. And just to mention that below that, where we've got startups.co.uk, that's an organic listing. So nobody's going to pay for a click on that. That's completely free, and that's manipulated via search engine optimization. That's totally different science, which Ben is an absolute expert at, and I am not. So that's search ads. Shopping ads work in a similar way. So you've gone to Google and you're looking for a new sofa. So you've typed in buy new sofa. But instead of just getting the text ad, which look, there's a paid search ad, you're getting these shopping ads. And you'll get them at the top of the page, and you also get the option to click on the shopping tab, and then you'll see loads more ads. And these are different in that they have an image, a price, and a brand. And you can sometimes get some other elements in there, like they've got 100-day returns. So those are shopping ads. And then we've got display ads. So display ad is quite different in that you're not putting an ad on the Google search or results page, you're putting it on somebody else's website. So here I've gone to The Guardian and I've been served with a display ad for Sainsbury's. So trying to sell me wine, champagne or sparkling wine, which is not a surprise because I enjoy all of that. So there's 2 million websites signed up to be part of this display network, and you can choose where your ad appears. You can choose it via picking a website like The Guardian, or maybe a blog that's similar to what you're trying to sell, or you can choose to serve it to the type of person who goes to that website or who you want to serve your ads to. So you can say, I want to serve my ad to somebody who's, and then there's hundreds of options to choose from. So you might say a female who's aged between 25 and 35, who's just had a baby or something like that. For example, if you were selling maternity wear or new baby gear. So that's how display works. And you yourself with your own website could sign up to serve other people's ads on your website if you wanted to. And it's a little bit of a money making opportunity, because every time a user clicks on the ad, you as the website owner get, I have to say it's tiny, but you get a little bit of revenue from Google for that action. So that's the 3 main ones. I'm going to run you through setting up a search campaign now. But once you've done that, that's where I'd start, because it's the easiest, it makes the most sense, I think. Once you've done that, you can then apply what you've learned doing that to shopping and display. Before you set anything up, you need to have a free Google account. And make sure it's the free one and not Workspace, which is charged for, specifically for your business. So you might already have a Gmail, which is a Google email account. And when you sign up for that, you'll get a whole suite of products under that Gmail address. If you don't have it already, you can just click, there's a link there, just click there and it will take you to set that all up. And it's brilliant, it's absolutely brilliant. So just 2 minutes, sign up for the Gmail, and with that you'll get a drive, so a brilliant online folder for organising everything. You'll get a Google Ads account, a Google Analytics account, a Google My Business, a whole suite of stuff. And I would just recommend making sure you've got all of that under one email address, and it means then it's all automatically linked together. The second thing you need to do is set up tracking for your meaningful actions. This is really key because there's no point spending money in Google Ads if you don't know whether it's leading to sales, phone calls, email addresses, sign up to the newsletter. Whatever it is that's meaningful as an action for your business, make a list of it, and then you can either use Google Analytics or Google Ads to say when somebody lands on my website, so they've clicked on a Google ad, they've landed on my website and they've bought one of my products, hooray! Tell me, report that back to me within Google Ads. It's actually quite technical to get this set up. So I would recommend going to somebody like Ben. Just give him your web developer, your list of meaningful actions and access to your Google Analytics or your Google Ads, and just saying, please, can you implement this tracking? And they'll know what that means and how to do it. So that's before you do anything in Google Ads, so make sure those two actions are sorted. And then you want to set up a campaign and an ad group. A campaign is another word for folder, and an ad group is another word for subfolder. And you want to set them up. So log into your Google Ads account that you've probably just created, or if not, click that link and it will take you to log in. And then have a little think about what your campaign and ad group setup should look like. So here's an example where I've got a client who sells multiple different types of products. So I've created a campaign for health and beauty. I'm going to put all their health and beauty products in there. And then jewelry is something else they sell. So I'm going to create a totally separate campaign for that. And then let's focus on health and beauty. So within there, I'm then going to break out all the different types of health and beauty products that they sell and put them in ad groups, aka subfolders. So soaps, bath bombs, shampoo, conditioner, they should all have their own ad group. And then within each ad group, that is where you select your keywords and your ads. And the way that's going to work is you select the keyword. Let's say you select handmade vegan soap is one of your keywords because that's what you sell. You put that, I'll show you how to do it in a minute, into that ad group. And when a user comes and searches that on Google, it's going to connect that to your account and go, oh, this person's got that in there. I'm going to serve their ad to that user. That's how the whole system works. And at this point, it's just break everything up as much as you possibly can. You don't want, for example, an ad group called health and beauty, which contains hundreds of different types of product keywords. You want to split them out as much as possible, because then you can write an ad that talks about that exact keyword that someone's going to type in.
I think it's useful seeing this diagram because I often, when I'm setting out some of these campaigns, I struggle with how you break things up, and where it's best to split things out. And I think it is having some logic like this is really helpful. I think saying, let's split it up into these main categories and then going through to the product categories. Because otherwise it's, where do you stop? Where do you start? I mean, it can be, you don't want huge campaigns to manage where they've got lots of things in them. So this is really nice, actually.
Yeah, oh, thank you. There's a movement amongst marketeers called SKAGs, which stands for single keyword ad groups, which is literally, because you can have up to something like 10,000 ad groups in an account, and it's literally each one's got one keyword in. I wouldn't recommend that. That's for somebody like me who this is their job and they're doing it every day. But if it's for your own business, I would just, not single keyword, but maybe no more than 10 or 20 per ad group, just so you've got everything nicely organized.
Yes, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
And a horrible name as well.
Yeah, I know. Okay, brilliant. Once you go into Google Ads, it's going to say, do you want to set up a campaign? And you're going to say yes, and then it's going to take you through the following selections. So the first thing is goals. Select the goal that would make this campaign successful to you. Now, I'm going to say, if you sell a tangible product, always choose sales, click on sales. If leads are important to you, so maybe if you're a service-based business and you want people's email addresses, choose leads. If it's just about getting people to know about your website and that you exist, choose website traffic. The rest of these, I would not choose. Basically, pick one of those three at this stage. When you become more confident, then these relate to those other types of campaigns that I went through earlier. So that's something to come back to. But to start with, pick one of those three. And it's going to say, what campaign type would you like? So that's what we talked about earlier. I'm going to select search because that's what I'm showing you how to set up. I would say to you, either choose search, display, or shopping. Just one of those three. So do you want to show text ads to people when they type in your what you're selling? Do you want to serve an ad to people when they're on other websites, or are you an e-commerce brand and you're actually selling tangible products? In that case, you can choose shopping. Next tab it's going to take you to is conversions. So select the ways you'd like to reach your goal. 99% of the time I tick website visits. That's normally the aim for my clients, is to get people onto their website. So I would choose that one. And then start tracking your sales as website conversions. So this, as long as you've done the tracking that we talked about a minute ago, it will appear here. Say it will give you the list of all the conversions that you've set up to be tracked, and you can choose one of them or you can choose multiple. So you just do that, that'll appear, and it's just pre-populated, you just tick it. Next tab it's going to take you to is networks. This is going to say, right, you've chosen search or you've chosen shopping or display. Your goal is sales, leads, or traffic, website traffic. Give it a campaign name. So something that's really meaningful to you. You're going to know what you've put in this campaign. It's going to appear with that ticked and that ticked. Always untick them. So basically this is saying, this is the search network, that's the search engine results page. And then it's trying to get you to also serve your ads across all of Google's search partners. But that just tends to make your results really diluted and often irrelevant. So untick that, and it's exactly the same for the display network, untick that. Next up, it's going to ask you, where do you want to serve these ads? Where are people when they see these? And you can literally pinpoint, you can do Bath plus 1 mile or 1K. So a tiny little area, or you can do the whole of the United Kingdom or America or whatever it is. So this is, you know, if you sell nationwide, choose United Kingdom. If you're a shop and you're trying to encourage people to come into your bricks and mortar building, you might want to choose much more local. Just be aware that there are options here, location options. Always choose this one, people in or regularly in your targeted location. Because otherwise, if you choose this one, which is the one that's pre-selected, it's going to go, oh, well, that person was there 2 months ago. You know, they might never come back, but they were there 2 months ago, so we'll show it to them. And actually, they're not our target audience. They're never going to come back to Bath and come in our cafe, for example. You wanted to exclude anywhere, you can do that here. I don't ever usually do that, to be honest, but it's an option. And then select your language, which is probably going to be English, but obviously it's got every language ever in there. So you just select the one that's right for your target audience, what they're going to be searching in and what they're going to be reading in. Budget and billing. This is the really tricky one for a lot of people. So it's basically giving you two options. What is the budget, the average that you want to spend every day? And what sometimes happens is what it does, it says it here, so it averages that out over a month. So one day it might go, oh my gosh, you know, loads of people are searching and buying from you today, so we're actually going to spend £10. But then the next day it won't spend anything, or it will only spend £2.50, and then average it out over the month. So don't be frightened if you see, I put £5 maximum and it's spent £10 today, because in a month it won't go over what you stipulated per day. I hope that makes sense. Then it's going to say, how do you want to pay for your traffic? And again, there's loads of options in this drop down. Go here to select a bid strategy directly, even though Google's telling you it's not recommended. Do that. Then select clicks from the drop down. Tick this and set a maximum cost per click. So that's how much you're willing to pay for every single click through to your website. It's really, really hard to know what to put here, and Google won't give you, well, they will give you indicators, but it's very kind of pie in the sky. So you just have to put something here that you're comfortable with, and same with the maximum budget. And how I encourage my new clients to do this is to see it as market research. Worst case scenario, you're going to buy a ton of brilliant data about your audience and how they interact with your website. Best case scenario, you're going to start selling absolutely loads and make loads of return on investment. But to start with, we don't know that. So I would just say, give yourself a budget, whether it's £300 for a month or £1,000 for a month, that you're comfortable with spending on market research, and use that here. So £5 a day, let's say, and a 99 maximum CPC bid limit. And actually, you might not end up spending 99 pence on every click, but that you're telling Google, don't spend more than that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. This is a tricky area.
Yeah.
And as you say, Google does give you little bits of indication, but I think the best idea is what you suggested. It's market research. So maybe perhaps try these a little bit higher than you would, just to see, get some data in, and then you can start to see what's working, can't you? And you can go in and trim things down. Yeah,
exactly. Totally. So that's what, that would be my recommendation for budget and billing. Just to say as well, it will keep going every single day until you pause it. So keep an eye on it, you know, set yourself a reminder to go in at least once a week and see, well, what's it actually spent? If you decide you want to increase it, decrease it, pause it, it's really, really super easy to do that, and you can do it instantly. Okay, then we go to the keywords and ads. So Google has talked you through basically setting up a campaign, and as part of that, your first ad group. And the next section is going to say this. So it's going to get you to be building an ad group, and all you do for an ad group is give it a name. So all your settings sit under the campaign, and your ad group is just a named subfolder. So here I've put soaps, and then it's saying, what keywords do you want to put in this ad group? So remember, we're just going to focus exclusively on soaps, and these are when somebody comes to Google and types them in, this is what we want our ads to serve to those people. And a great way to research is just to literally, in this point here, type in soaps and hit enter, and it will populate this box with loads of keywords. You need to then manually go through them and remove the ones that aren't relevant. So maybe like this, Dettol no touch. Like, I feel somebody who's searching for that is not going to want to buy a handmade soap. Maybe Carbon Theory, that's a brand name. You could get rid of that. Antibacterial hand sanitizer, get rid of that because they're looking for hand sanitizer, not soap. So it's just a case of going through, being your target audience's mind space, and just remove, literally highlight and delete anything that's not right. And you'll be left with a lovely set of relevant keywords. And the ads. Then the next tab it's going to take you to is going to look like this. And it's going to ask you to write an ad to show to people who search those keywords in. Here's my top tips. Use responsive search ads. There are multiple ad options. Choose this one, responsive search ads. It's Google's favorite. And you'll be rewarded for using it by being given more exposure by Google. Deep link the final URL. So that's the first thing here. When people click on this ad, where do you want them to land? Deep link it, send them to the soaps page. People are so busy, they don't want to be having to navigate around your website. They want to buy a soap, take them to the soaps. Then you're going to have to write at least 5 headlines. So here I've put in more than 5. These can't be longer than 30 characters. So little short snippets about why people should buy your soap or sign up to your newsletter or whatever it is you want them to do. Write at least 2 descriptions. So these are down here and these are longer. These are 90 characters. The really tricky bit is with the responsive search ads, Google's only going to show maybe 2 or 3 of these headlines and probably only 1 of these descriptions, and it's going to mix and match them because it's using basically artificial intelligence and machine learning to work out what people like and then show it in that order more. So keep that in mind when you're writing it. They must make sense individually and combined in any combination. It's not easy, but it's doable. And here's just some best practices. So this is one of my clients buying jewelry. They sell beautiful leather and rope bracelets. And here's an ad. So all our bracelets are handmade, gorgeous gifts for all occasions, can be personalised with beautiful engraving. Thank you so much for your continued support through these difficult times from a small UK business. So there's tons and tons of best practices around ads, but what I found in all my years of writing them is, you know, expose your brand, talk to people as people, don't be really corporate or overly professional. Try and be sort of a bit human, like the voice behind the brand. So here I've tried to use quite a lot of descriptive words, gorgeous, beautiful. I've really shouted about their USPs, handmade, small UK business. You know, these are the things that we know matter to their audience. And then I've also, these are called ad extensions, which I haven't done a slide for because I was aware it was getting very long, but Google will take you to that section of Google, of the ads platform, and you can then fill in little extensions, which sometimes show with your ads and sometimes don't, depending on what's happening holistically on the search results page.
I like that you've added the thank you in there into part of one of the descriptions. That's a really nice touch, I think, and actually goes with what you're saying about being more human and talking to them like people rather than these sort of ads which you feel are sort of jam-packed with keywords almost, and buy now, you know, do this, you know, very action orientated. This is a nice ad. It's just pointing out a few things that relate to people. I like it.
Exactly. Because we really had a lot of conversations about how to handle the pandemic. This is a bit old, this ad, to be honest, but we were like, should we pretend it's not happening and, you know, just carry on as usual, the show must go on, or should we actually address it? And we thought, well, it's, you know, everybody's talking about it and thinking about it, and we don't feel like saying, you know, it's a difficult time is making us as a brand feel weak, look weak. We think it's just being honest, and it really worked. Honestly, they had a brilliant pandemic. Their sales skyrocketed. So Yeah. Brilliant. And then at the end of all of that, Google's going to show you a screen with everything you've set up and say, is this all correct? Publish. And then hopefully it'll all go nice and smoothly live. If it doesn't, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So that's your first campaign, ad group, series of keywords and ad, all set up and launched. Once they go live, this is what the platform actually looks like. This is how you just view and edit your data. So people find Google Ads really difficult to navigate. So the key things to remember are always look up here in the top navigation. This will change depending on where you are. So if you click through into an ad group, this will change. So use this to know where you're working in the platform. Also on the left-hand side is how you can access everything. So that there's campaigns, there's ad groups, there's keywords, and there's ads. There's millions of other things you can look at, but these are the 4 that you're going to want to delve into. When you're actually looking at the data, make sure this has got all enabled selected. There's a few options there, and that's the one you want. And always keep an eye on the date, which you select up here. Sometimes clients will, contact me and be like, oh, it's nothing showing. And then they'll go, oh, it's because I'm only looking at today. And be aware it's time lagged. So there's a few hours between stuff happening and it's showing up in here. Then to choose what data you're going to look at, click on this, columns. That will present you with this, where it's going to ask you what you actually want to see. And I have put down here the key. So that's not quite right. Actually, you want to have selected from all these different columns, impressions, clicks, click-through rate, cost, average cost per click, conversions, cost per conversion, and conversion rate. So go into each of these, select those, they'll appear on the right-hand side, save them as a preset. So tick that and say, call it your business name, click apply, and then every time you go to this page, that's what it will show you along here. And then I'm not going to run through these because it's a lot of text, but for every problem that you come across, and it's not, you will find that you need to make tweaks from when you start to getting to where you want to get. And sometimes you can get off to a great start and the results are all brilliant. And sometimes it can take up to 3 months of tweaking to really get the stats you want. So if you feel like low impressions, and an impression is a view of the ad, so, oh God, nobody's seeing these ads, go through these elements here and make changes to those. You feel like, oh, so many people are seeing them, but really hardly anybody's clicking them, so I'm showing to too many people, this is what you need to edit. If you're getting lots of impressions but hardly anybody clicking, so the click-through rate, that's the percentage of people who see the ad that click on it, is low, and by low I mean less than 5%. This is where you need to start working here. If you're finding it's really high cost, just reduce your max budget and maybe pause your keywords. High average CPC, so CPC is the cost for every click on the ad through to the website. You need to work on these elements here. And low conversions, so you're getting lots of traffic, lots of lovely clicks, you're happy with the amount you're paying, but why aren't people actually converting? Look at these. Focus on the keywords and ads that do convert. Think holistically. So remember that this is just one part of your entire customer's journey. Right, I've had 100 clicks yesterday and none of them have converted. What do I need to change on my landing page? And it could be you have to go right through to the price, the product, the customer service. You need to look at everything. And also look at what your competitors are doing. It's a brilliant way to get some knowledge. And I'm aware that I've just covered that all quite quickly, but once you've got that overview, then this is brilliant places to get more help. So support at Google, there's a team of millions of people, hundreds of people, they're online 24 hours a day. Click that link, you can call them or you can chat with them and just say, look, I've just launched and I seem to be getting loads of impressions and clicks, but I'm paying, you know, the cost per clicks is so high, I don't understand it. They will help you. There's also Google Digital Garage, which is courses on every element of everything I've talked about. So if you're like, I feel pretty confident, but I just don't quite understand click-through rate or how to make my ads better, there'll be a course in there for you, quick course that you can do, and it'll give you loads of insight. And then there's also Grow with Google. So that's another platform which will help you to grow, basically, to grow your business. So there's some great stuff in there as well. I think that's it. Yes, it is.
Well done.
I've
got a few questions, if I may, going through that.
Of course.
No, thanks for that, Libby. Just a couple, right? So search ads or display ads? I get, for me, I get both of them, but I don't know if there's a time when I should choose which is better than the other for certain products or services. I mean, so I just tend to default for customers when I'm helping them, and we only sort of help them at a basic level to set things up. Yeah. I just default to search. But could you explain the difference and where you might go for one or the other?
Yeah, sure. So search is it's much more likely to convert because people are looking for exactly what you're offering in that moment. So it's much more likely to get clicked on. It's much more likely to generate a conversion, but it's much more expensive. So the landscape for search ads, there's 4 at the top of the page and sometimes 2 or 3 at the bottom. So every single business that's set up a Google Ads account and has put that keyword in it is fighting to be in one of those 7 or 8 text ad spaces. And Google, it's an auction place. So the more you're willing to pay, the higher up, well, A, the likelihood you'll get on that first page, and B, the likelihood you'll appear at the top. And 75% of clicks happen on the first thing that people see at the top of the page. So it just can be very expensive. Not always. If you find a little niche where there's not loads of businesses bidding on the same keywords, it can be cheap, but sometimes it's just hard to have the budget for search. With display, it's much, much cheaper because the landscape, there's 2 million websites that you could serve your ad on. It's much, much, much cheaper, but less effective in driving conversions. So what I tend to do is start with search, find that niche that's affordable for my client and that can generate them a decent ROAS. And then I use display to tell their audience, for example, about a summer sale they've got going on. And display is the type that includes remarketing. So, you know, I
was going to mention remarketing.
Yeah.
I think we don't do any of that, but actually it is something that is quite important. So maybe you go ahead and explain what that means. Oh, before you do, very quickly, ROAS, that's return on ad spend, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Remarketing is where if anybody's landed on your website, again, you need to set up some tracking for this. So when you're doing your conversion tracking, sending that to your web developer or someone like Ben, at that point, you can say, can you also put a remarketing tag on? And what that does is it drops a little cookie onto the laptop or mobile or whatever of somebody who's landed on your website. And then it kind of follows them around the internet. So then later, so they've been on your website, they've looked at your beautiful soap, and then later on in the day, they're on, I don't know, eBay, but looking at something, you'll see, they'll see in the right-hand side of eBay, a picture of your soap. And it will say, and you can write in your ad something like, come back, and here's a special little discount code for you, something to encourage them back to actually complete the purchase. So remarketing is brilliant for that. And if any of your audience are doing or planning to do Facebook or Instagram ads, their remarketing capabilities are brilliant, because you can even say, if somebody's liked this post, remarket to them. So, you know they're quite warm, they're engaged, they're engaging with your product. You can then say, when they're on Facebook later today, stick it back in their feed. So, I love remarketing. People sometimes find it annoying. It's sometimes a bit controversial that Big Brother is watching you. But if you do it in a nice way, and you can set caps, so you're not bombarding people all day long.
Yeah.
You can just say, look, just show this to them twice. Or, I don't know, I'd probably go 4 times and then stop, leave them alone.
And then can you, can you remove them from that remarketing list, that audience list, once they've bought something? Because I was listening to the Now show on Radio 4, and Hugh Dennis joked about going to Amazon or eBay, looking for a Hoover, and buying the Hoover, and then forever being followed by these ads around saying, buy this Hoover, buy this Hoover. He said, I bloody bought the Hoover.
Yeah.
I don't want it anymore.
Yes, you can. So you can then say exclude people who've made purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I get that as well. And it's like, it's such lazy
Done what you
marketing.
wanted me to do.
Yeah, I've done it. Don't spend more money trying to get
Yeah.
me to come back. So, yeah, you make sure you exclude people who've already purchased.
Brilliant. So just on conversions, here's another question.
Yeah.
I favour using Google Analytics to set up goals. I think generally because it's easier.
Yeah.
Once we've got Google Analytics set up on a website, we can go into settings or admin goals, and you can set up if someone hits this page, or maybe even a bit of JavaScript event is triggered. It's a lot easier to set that up. Typically for an e-commerce site, you might set it up on the thank you page at the end, and then set up the steps in between.
Yeah.
Or it might be a sign-up page. People fill out a form and it goes to thank you, and then that's the page that converts.
Yeah.
Once that's set up in analytics, not only do you get the tracking in there, but you can then pull that through in ads, Google Ads, and use that as tracking. However, Google Ads also enables you to create code which you can stick on various pages. And for me, it's a bit of a pain, because I then have to go and put that in somewhere, or maybe we're using the Google Tag Manager and you have to add it in there, and it's just a pain. Which do you favor? Where do you prefer? Is there any disadvantage to using analytics?
No, I'm exactly the same as you. My first recommendation would always be analytics. Also, the thing I love about that is then I can see how all other traffic is performing.
Yes, against the same goal.
Organic, direct, newsletter. I can see how everything is performing, and then I've got my benchmarks then. And as often happens, it fluctuates. It all fluctuates, but you can often see, well, it's fluctuating from every traffic source. So this week we've had a dip in traffic to the website, but it's happened across every traffic source. Yeah. So not that there's an issue with SEO this week or with Google Ads this week. It's that there's something happening, the Queen's Jubilee. Every single one of my clients that long weekend had a massive dip in traffic because everybody was outside partying. So it's great. Analytics I love it. It's such a brilliant tool, and I would always set everything up in there. And then Google Ads makes it really easy. You just click a plus button and import any goals you set up into Google Ads as well, if you want them in both places.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you're with me on that, because it's that having that one goal across all the different channels and sources just makes a lot of sense, rather than it just being siloed in Google Ads.
Yeah.
Just a final question before we finish. And this may be a tricky one to answer in a few minutes, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Tips on writing headlines. So I actually quite like the responsive ads. I think it's a lot easier rather than actually having to craft these little perfect, because it used to be, here's a headline, here's a description.
Yeah.
And it's in some ways easier just to put in different sentences, which then Google will rearrange to find the best ad.
Yeah.
But where do you start with writing headlines? What's the best way to sort of know what to put in there, or pulling out, maybe text from someone's website? How do you start with that?
Yeah, I always go to, with a client, I always go to their website and their social media. Good then idea. I look at what it is that they're trying to communicate to people via those sources. And usually, that encapsulates everything, how they want to talk to their client, what their USPs are, what really matters to them. So, but if you're doing this for yourself as your own business, that is also a great starting point. What was in your head when you were writing your About Us page, or how do you talk to people when you're crafting a caption on an Instagram post? So yeah, I would start there, but I would just make it look at what your competitor's doing and how can you stand out from them. If there's 4 of you with text ads appearing in a results page, what can you put in yours that's going to encourage the user to click on yours instead of the other 3? Sometimes it's pricing, sometimes it's an offer, but like that example I showed you, that's about being people with a personality and gratitude for your custom.
Yeah.
And
of course, because you can have multiple headlines and descriptions, you can try different things out and let Google sort it out for you. Let Google work out which ones are performing best and then show them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So actually, in some ways, don't worry about it too much. Just try it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got something quite related that I want to show you. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, Libby, but I'm going to just try and if you stop screen sharing, I'm going to share this website. It's called swiped.co.
Okay.
So hopefully you can see that. What this is, it's it's like an archive of ads, both old and new. So you on the screen we can see blocks of different ads there. Some are like from black and white from a newspaper or magazine, and some are more modern ones. We've got some Shopify ones on there. And the person who made this website, called Swipe Worthy, basically takes these ads and critiques them. So let me have a look here. If I go to this one, and he calls them swipes. I don't like that name. Maybe that's my mind. It doesn't sound very nice. But I think the idea of a swipe is, in a pinch, an ad agency can go, oh, we got something we need to create. Let's have a look in our swipe file to find a previous ad that we think worked well from a client, and then use that as a base to start off with. And that's why I often recommend this to people if they're designing a landing page or doing an ad, or they just need somewhere to start. Have a look in here, because it can give you some ideas just to get you started. So, because I always get stuck on the writing content part of it, because I'm not a copywriter. So this for me is quite useful.
Yeah.
So what they've got here is 2 ad variations that they've looked at and different ways it was written. If we hover over these highlighted areas, it actually says here, they've positioned the face to draw attention to the copy. And on this one, the green plant brings out the green in the logo and adds some vibrancy. So some of it's just observations that you might want to take forward. There's lots of others. You can actually filter them as well. So if you say, I want something in the arts and crafts industry, so they don't have many of those, you can actually filter them by type. So this is good. This is quite an old sort of print advert, but the theory is the same. That people the human brain hasn't changed for thousands and thousands of years, if not tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, I'd imagine, on the scale of evolution. So the basic level of advertising still applies to us, whether it was hundreds of years ago in newspapers or it's modern. And so it's quite interesting how they've taken a concept and then sort of gone through it, critiqued it, in just a few hours. So they're representing how easy it is to use.
Yes.
photo of this person correlates to who you're targeting. So, if you're targeting men, make sure you include a man in there, maybe of the type of customer.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really good resource.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll have a proper look at that later.
Yeah.
That's great. And obviously those are more like display ads.
Yes.
The imagery and everything. And actually Google does the same thing for display ads. So they're dynamic, responsive. So you put in a load of images and different headlines and text, and it mix and matches them all up. And it's great as well, because no matter what the shape of the space on the website that the ad's being fitted into, Google can just rearrange everything. But yeah, this is great for what sort of images should you include, what sort of messaging, what works, what doesn't.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just, I need to start somewhere, and it's better to not start with a blank sheet of paper, because then that helps. We procrastinate. Then it's better just to say, I'm going to start somewhere, I'm going to copy someone else, use that as a base, and then work forward that and make it your own. So this is a good place to do it. But equally, you're right. You can start with your competitors. You can go and look at their ads and say, what do I like about this? And then how can I make it better?
Yeah.
To actually use their own information against them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Inventive Marketing Club. You can learn more, find great episodes, or join us at ratherinventive.com/club. That's ratherinventive.com/club. Bye for now.